Yes, all these fans, Club Twilight, and
I sit down at home, decided to watch some TV, listening to the news by Gordon Mosley. I listening to the things that he say he tracking tonight, paying close attention to make sure I hear it right. But when I hear the things that he mentioned on the news, I had to declare them kind of thing got me confused. I hear some things where the ERC noticing, and it convinced me that people ain't learning nothing. We hear so many times about them big name calling, and they say ERC pretend that they didn't learn nothing. But once you're black and you just decide to say a word or two, bet your life on that they say ERC coming for you. Listen to the things you just hear on social media. Only one set of people allowed to talk in one Guyana. I still say nothing, black people in learning. But this is my concern. I hope one day black people will learn. ERC that I would like to know, if any of his members happens to be black people. And if that is the case, I want them to answer this call. Tell me how come none of them ain't got no voice at all. You're showing signs of weakness and you're afraid to be fair, and we see the same thing keep happening year after year. And the day will come when all this nonsense will stop. That will be the day when black people decide to wake up. Not so long ago, something terrible happened. This young Indian man want to kill out all black people by poison. But if his shoes was on the other foot, would have been a big threat. But up to this day, this TRC can do nothing as yet. How come it's only black people committing cybercrime? When pretty on social media fussing people all the time. I still saying black people in Lording. But one day will come when the entire table will turn. Excuse we see they fail to condemn, because these people think that the law is only for them. And anybody else who decide to file a complaint, they gon' call you a racist and don't want to hear nothing. Plenty complaint from time to time has been brought to their attention, but because of this one-sided cybercrime is why they don't show any concern. There's only one set of people that they really care about, and black people must take the abuse and shut them out. Kidaki Amsterdam went to court just recently for an issue that was highlighted by the same ERC. And with breakneck speed, the police decide to jump on his case. Without a search warrant, they went and search up the man's place. Let us all agree that black people under attack. Different laws for you and me just because we black. I still singing black people in London. To all my black friends, we must put a stop to all this nonsense. Cybercrime laws to keep people silent, just to make sure nobody criticizes government. And while that is a very clear case of dictatorship, it is no surprise that the ERC ignoring it. Why only the chosen few is allowed to have things their way, when people like me and you must have nothing to say? And when ministers in the government start to launch their attack, you never hear this ERC come out and talk about that. They send a policeman all the way to New York. This fella went up there to serve a cold summer on Rick Fallborg. Under this this government decide to fabricate a case, but like they forget the warning they get from black t-shirt jades. The vice president described that he use as a low life. Because of this kind of abuse, he don't have a wife. I still singing black people in London. Just the other day, I hope your man see help is on the way.
All right, so today we are here at Club Twilight up in Buxton, and we are here to talk about all that's going on up here. Trust me, if you are on the East Coast, you're in Buxton, you're in Tongue, you're looking for a place to get away to, this is the place. The Cutters, mwah. Listen, I'll be having some just now again. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, the ambiance is beautiful, fully air conditioned. The decor is on point. The music's on point. Everything's on point. It's just me. I need some work, but everything else that belongs to this club here is on point. So if you want to find a nice little place where you can just drive out of town and have some drinks, have some food, you can call, you can order your stuff and just take it. You don't have to stay. Or if you want to stay here, that's what's up. And of course, they have special events for Valentine's. You can rent a hall. You can rent a hall, honey. You can rent a hall for weddings, for birthday parties, to have a bash. I hope he edits that out. But you know, whatever it is, this is definitely the place to be. So it's on Sideline Dam. You definitely want to ensure that you check this place out. But it's on your to-do list. All right, on your to-do list. This is definitely the place to check out, you know, a really cool, chill spot here in Buxton. I like this. This is Buxton needed this. We needed this. I needed this. You definitely needed too. Thank you. All right, so you might be wondering where we are. Still in Buxton at Club Twilight. That's where we are. So Club Twilight also has like an Airbnb as well. So you could come, drink, drunk, and come in the back here and lie down. Look at that. Look at that. Perfection. And the people come in and come in the room and so on. The bed sheet matching the blind, matching the carpet, matching the this, matching the that. We know but we things in Buxton don't play with we. So definitely if you want to come and you know you may be having a wedding or whatever and you just want to overnight and just have a good time because you're gonna be drunk. We got too much road accidents. So you definitely want to come drink, have a good time. They have several rooms that you can rent. You have your toilet, you have your bath, you have your sink, you have your dining area, you have the bed. This is nice. I like it. Anyways, to my friends and my family, if you're looking for me, I'll be overnighting. Also, for those persons who are traveling in from overseas, you want a nice, cozy place out of town, then Club Twilight, call them up, look them up on social media. They have their own Facebook page, and ensure that you come up the side and have a good time. Have a good time. Have a good time. Sorry. I'm sorry. That's it.
Don't be a victim. Beat the heat with EC crystals. Party ice in large and small quantities. Call 682-7981 or visit us at Club Twilight, Sideline Dam, Buxton North. EC crystals. Pure party ice.
You can get meat anywhere, but for the best cuts of chicken, beef, pork, mutton, and lots more, check out T and W Harris Butcher Shop located in the East Rheinveld Market Meat Section. Call us on 609-7168, 641-4494. Ask for Rastaman. T and W Harris Butcher Shop for the best in fresh cut meats and lots more.
Planning a party? Worry no more. We have all the supplies you need. At EC Party Rentals, we have folding chairs, folding tables, square tables, round tables, long tables, short tables, big tables. We have chairs, red chairs, gold chairs, white chairs, crystal chairs, chairs of all type, throne chairs. What you want, we have. Food warmers, coolers, ice, beverages. At EC Party Rentals, we have what you need to have a good time. You plan the party, we do the work. Call us 622-5933. EC Party Rentals. Let's keep your party going. Are you hosting an event? Do you need ice, party ice in large or small quantities? Then call us at 622-5933 for the best party ice available. $1,000 per bag. We do delivery. EC Crystals, Sideline Dam, Buxton North. Call to have your orders filled. today. Are you looking for tents to rent? Well, look no further. At EC Party Rentals, Sideline and Boxer North, we have tents in all sizes and colors. All sizes of tents we have. Small tents, big tents, medium tents, extra large tents. Call us on 6225933. We have what you need. EC Party Rentals. Big on tents. Yes, Oldies fans, Club Twilight and Blue Ribbon present Thursday Night Oldies at Club Twilight, Sideline and Boxer North with Blue Ribbon the boss and the Club Twilight family. Yes, come on out. Let's go way back to the past. Come on down. Yeah, passed y'all last night. How was yesterday? What were you able to achieve yesterday? Did it rain yesterday? I think we had some rains. I know this morning we had some early showers. Kind of weather that say stay in bed. Don't worry this thing by ready for letter. Hey, young ducks and experienced drugs. Man, how you do? How are you been keeping? Nicola Thomas, I trying to understand what you're saying, but I don't speak gibberish. Anyhow, I trust you had a productive yesterday and you had a restful night. I also trust that you woke up this morning and you have decided to rededicate your energies to the struggles. Rededicate, and when I say struggle, I'm talking about political fights. Right? You've rededicated yourself to fighting for a better Ghana. Fighting for a democratic Ghana. Fighting for a Ghana where law and order is the order of the day. I hope you are re-energized to continue that fight. But as we are here, we've heard the press conferences, we've seen the unrolling of websites and so on and so forth. And so we ask ourselves, did all of this happen in a few hours, or did all of this happen in just a week? And as dumb as some people might want you to think you are, I am sure you can come to the conclusion, at least I've come to the conclusion, could never be Forward Guyana. Wasn't formed in a day, wasn't formed in a week. It had to be it was formed like when Paul set in Poneg. All the preparations are right there, waiting for the opportune moment. I don't let them pass me by just saying, let's read between the lines and above the line and so on and so forth. And so I think the announcements had to be made because in a few days, what is the date? I can't remember. But GCOM has announced the deadline for the submission of symbols. And so if you're going to contest the elections, in a few days' time, you have to submit your party symbol. And so whether or not you were keeping it close to your chest or under wraps, like pregnancy, they usually said the thing don't go in, it just go out. You had to come to the fore and say, well, here, I have this plan and this is what I'm going to do. This is what my symbol is. Right? And so when you look at website, enrollment form, symbol, I will say a well put together platform. You gotta ask yourself, wait, man, these people are Trojans. How many Trojan horses they really had in the PNC/APNU? Huh? as persistent. When by man tell you completely don't give brick. That brick was selected and fashioned and refined and was waiting right there for the appropriate moment to get them a busted like Rav Gonzalez got a year or 2 or 3 ago from one of his citizens. Right? But life is life. And the reality is when people have made up their minds, and I think I mentioned that to you before in this program, when people have made up their minds about who you are, there's no convincing you could do to have them change that mind. When people have their opinions about you, then there's no changing the opinion. Right? No change in opinion. And so that's why when people come and they express their opinion of me, or people come and say, well, Tom Jones got this opinion of you, I say, well, if this Tom Jones' opinion, this Tom Jones' opinion, Tom Jones is entitled to his opinion. I can't change that. At least I wouldn't do crap to change that. I will be me. And so from the looks of things, I want to make this comment before I invite Mr. Jordan. From the look of things, people were just putting up a facade. They were showing up to say they shop. Remember I told you about that big woman, that's elder, that senior citizen said to me, boy, you don't know me. I would walk with you to the finish line to watch you fail. Right? You ask yourself how much sincerity was really in all of these shenanigans that were taking place around trying to reconcile and so on and so forth. You ask yourself, how sincere were these efforts when you see what is before us now? Right? So, and I'm saying the same thing, y'all forgive me. I'm saying the same thing. I want to argue the same thing when it comes to AFC. I see the AFC and the AP, and you don't want to tell it all now. Everybody tit for tat. You put out a statement, I put out a statement to correct your statement, you put out a statement to correct my correction of your statement, and so on. And so them boys down there hanging out their linens. Who said they want this and who said they were giving that and who said you can't get it? But I'll tell you my simple assessment of what happened. Right? The AFC failed to bluff. The AFC failed to bluff. And none called the bluff. I know the AFC is left out in left field. I'm sure there are many among them who feel really disheartened, aggrieved perhaps, that this thing didn't go as planned. And y'all want to know if I knew? I knew quite a while ago, not because anybody said it to me, that Sherod Duncan was going to walk away from the AFC. Because again, Sherod lost the leadership battle to Nigel Hughes. Sherod lost the leadership battle to Nigel Hughes. And like a good team player, it appeared as though he was willing to play along. All right, I'm going to stay in this for the long run. But then the leadership of AFC and Sherod, I would say, the ideas were at odds. Sherod was pushing for coalition, and it would appear as though the leadership of AFC were not serious about wanting to coalesce with anybody, at least not the AP and UAFs, at least not the AP, because of the hard bargains that they were driving. If I got more in this thing than you, or it looks like I could bring more to this thing than you, and you come and you tell me you want the majority, immediately I take you as a joke. Immediately I say, nah, you're serious. You come here for mama guy yourself. You come for bamboozle somebody. I beg, but I ain't stupid. Or I could be the bigger, stronger person in this thing in terms of organization. You come and tell me you want the majority of it. You want 65% of everything and I must get 35. In other words, you come to destroy me. You come to diminish me. You want to make me look like a clown. Right? That is how I interpret it. And then you start hearing Sherod making certain utterances, like, for example, half a bread is better than no loaf. If it were up to me, I would have gone to the coalition and try to build my party from in government and stuff like that. And you pay attention to those things, and you get the idea that, hey, this man is disgruntled. He doesn't like where the AFC has gone or where the AFC is going. And naturally, if there's a home for Sherod in the APNU, like it turned out to be, and naturally would go because he is for coalition, whether as an individual or party. And so I was not surprised that Sherod is over there, Jarrett is over there. I see a lot of people commenting on the Jarrett factor. A lot of people don't believe that Jarrett should have been named prime ministerial candidate, and so on and so forth. I personally would rather see David Hines as prime ministerial candidate. I've said it before that if you want to consolidate black votes, Narby Norton and David Hines, I think they will surely consolidate black votes. I think so. For me, I would have loved to see that. But all right, I can tell you why that wasn't possible. And I'm going to also tell you why all those people were expecting that Amanza Walton Dizzy could have been offered the prime ministerial position in the coalition. I can tell you why that too wasn't possible. Winston Jordan, buy your time, don't worry. Give me about 60 minutes, if so long. But why Jarrett? Jarrett ticks a number of boxes. You can argue that she's young, at least compared to the old stalwarts in this political thing. She's young, so she might attract youth, at least of our age, that category, plus or minus a few years. She's woman. She's indigenous, right? She's other than black. Good. So those are some of the things. Those are some of the things that make her a good fit for that position. The simple reason why David Hines, and by extension, Amanza, under no circumstance, unless you're prepared to rescript the whole political scenery in this country, couldn't be prime ministers because they're black. When it was Aubrey, or this so-called, what they call it, consensus candidate, I saw some names being offered up as consensus candidate, like Terence Campbell. If Terence Campbell were to be the leader of the coalition in the election, Amanza could not have been prime ministerial candidate. Neither David Hines could not have been prime ministerial candidate. Not even Aubrey Norton could have been prime ministerial candidate. Why? Because the PPP started a trend in this country where they named an Indo-Guyanese as presidential candidate and an Afro-Guyanese as prime ministerial candidate. And the opposition of the time, or it wasn't the government of the time, I can't remember what the positions were, but the opponents, as in the PNC at that time, followed suit. They started naming an Afro-Guyanese as presidential and Indo-Guyanese as prime ministerial. All I call it is window dressing. Ethnic window dressing. And so the PPP started this trend of ethnic window dressing, and all of the political parties in this country, if you check it out, you will see followed pattern. They follow suit. And since they like follow pattern, it developed like a culture in the society that if you have an Indo-Guyanese presidential candidate, naturally you would have an Afro-Guyanese prime ministerial candidate. And if you have an Afro-Guyanese presidential candidate, you will have an Indo-Guyanese prime ministerial candidate. And if you continue to follow that formula, which obviously is what is happening, you will understand that by no stretch of the imagination would you have had a Manzo prime ministerial position. Not even a David Hines prime ministerial position. That's my logic. And so this thing has nothing to do with whether Aubrey liked Amanza or Aubrey didn't like Amanza. The order of the day is what would dictate who gets that prime ministerial slot. And so far, because he's a black presidential, Afro-Guyanese presidential candidate, couldn't be an Afro like to break down as in you. These major ethnic groups is neck to neck. Consolidate. How kind of magic guy man? I sitting here and I watching share magic, but we gonna live with the magic. Don't worry. We're magicians too. The internet dancing, all kind of dance, chutney, bacchanal, calypso, all kind of dancing. But don't worry yourself. The message gotta be sent, and it will be sent. So you could talk cheese, you could do what you want. This morning we on top. Right? So those are my analysis this morning. And as is usual, let me make contact with Mr. Jordan so he can give you his analysis, especially on the economics of this country. But y'all can take that to the bank. Don't all people who say that they expected Amanzo or Amanzo herself expected to be named prime ministerial candidate inside. It logically, if I say that, it's not possible looking at the manner in which our local political organizations have behaved for the last 20, 30 years. It's impossible. You're going to see the PPP will name the Amanza got a chance to become a prime ministerial candidate over the PPP because they're going to name an Indo-Guyanese presidential candidate. But from the look of things, she has already shut the door on that because she has given Mark soup drinker Phillips assurances she's not going to take his job. Right? Isanjuk is saying she deserves it. What does she deserve? Who are you talking about? Who is she? That's the whole thing. Because we're talking about two females here. Right? Let me go. Call Mr. Jordan. I get a little sidetracked there just now, you know. A big, you know, and y'all distract me. Stay distracted for a minute. Oh, I see Mr. Jordan sent me this image. Like 100 million persons have also sent me this image. What should I do? Let me show you all this image. It's your fault, Mr. Jordan. If you send it to me, say you can't blame me for putting it up. Right? Y'all notice there, those of you, there is an advertisement out there, an appeal to Indians. This thing is not couched in any diplomatic language or anything. This thing is not curry favored or anything. This thing, plain and straight, says we are hiring for Guyana. Opportunity for Indian nurses, male and or female. Both can apply. Your general nurse, they want 50 of them. They're paying between $1,200 and $1,500 US dollars. That is $240,000 to 300,000 Ghana dollars. What do our local nurses get? I'm asking that question. I don't know, but I doubt whether they're getting $240,000 a month or $300,000 a month. But not only that, even if our nurses are getting that money, they ain't getting free food. They're not getting food and accommodation and transportation. Right? Understand that. So here is your government advertising for Indian nurses, male or female, to come to your country to work for $240,000 or $300,000, get free food, get free accommodation, and get free transportation. But your nurses who are here, born and bred Guyanese, citizens should enjoy the sweet of this land, are sucking salt. Are sucking salt. Y'all could form your own conclusions in that. If it's racist, if it's out of necessity, I don't know what y'all gonna do. But on that note, I got some information that a whole drove of Indians who are being registered at GCOM, plain straight Indians, they can't even talk English, but they were being registered at GCOM recently. Gotta stop the rig at GCOM. Let me call Mr. Jordan. I hope this man ain't gone back to bed, you know. Oh, you're there, my man, you know you do. Good morning to you, sir. How are you? Hello. Oh, I got to unmute my mic, yes. Good morning, Mr. Jordan. How are you doing, buddy?
Hi, good morning, good morning. Under the weather. Noise, you know, flu here. My throat is sore, but like a true soldier on Patriot, decided I will continue to do the program.
You got soldier on, boy? You got soldier on?
Yes, you got the soldier on. So I'm only asking my listeners and the viewers and so on to freedom. I say this in all reality of the fact that even up to today, we continue to be on the onslaught, and I will deal with that.
Mr. Jordan.
We continue to be on that onslaught.
Mr. Jordan.
Yes.
I see my viewers are saying they ain't getting no song, right? Give me a minute. Oh, it's back on now. Oh, I could give me some skill in my life. I wonder how long it went for. All right. Let's go again. Sorry for that.
Okay. They tell you how long it was missing? Hello, Kadaki? Yeah, I'm hearing you. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I was saying when I came on, I was wishing our folks in the American diaspora, our African folks in the American diaspora, and our African Caribbean folks in the American diaspora, and all of the other Black folks in the American diaspora. I was wishing them happy Juneteenth. Today being the 19th of June, 160 years ago, in 1865, when about 2,000 Union soldiers rode into Galveston Bay in Texas and other parts of Texas to free the enslaved people who should have been freed many years before as a result of a presidential decree outlawing slavery, thus making those people a free people. And I was saying that too often when holidays come around, we don't reflect on the meaning and the purpose of the holiday. Rather, we tend to concentrate more on merriment. And so the message and the meaning and so on and the purpose of the holiday gets buried in the merriment and so on. And I was saying, while we could do the merriment, we could also do the message. They can go side by side and they can be integrated in a program of activities. I was mentioning also that particularly in Guyana, that months in advance, you could hear people advertising for some merriment and some bashment on an upcoming holiday without messages on what the holiday means and so on. And I said, it is time that we change that narrative. I was also calling out groups, African groups, such as Ashkria, ACDA, and all the other groups, including 100 plus groups under an umbrella of African empowerment and so on, who we don't hear anything about, except annually around the celebration of Emancipation Day. And I was asking ACDA whether they're only known for the soiree that they keep in the national park on Emancipation Day, and then they go back into their slumber. I've asked why groups like IPADG and ACDA and so on could not send out a solidarity message on today, Juneteenth, in solidarity with the people of African descent in America on this a national holiday, which is of recent vintage and only became national under the presidency of Joe Biden and so on. So that was essentially what I was saying as by way of opening remarks, so to speak. By way of opening remarks also, I think it was yesterday where you were talking about voting of prisoners. And I think you were a bit erroneous in what you were saying, because you were differentiating between those prisoners who can vote and those who can't vote. And I think you said if you are on remand, you can vote. But if you are sentenced, you can't vote. And I sent you a note by a message indicating that that is not what the Constitution says. And Honorable Chief Justice Roxanne George has repeatedly indicated that the only criteria necessary for you to vote in Guyana is that, one, you must be a citizen of Guyana. Two, you must be 18 years and over. And three, you must be registered to vote. The only time that an offense will prevent you from voting, there are two, but only one I can remember now, is that if you were convicted of an electoral offense. So if you were a convicted murderer or a convicted robber, your vote is not denied. Only if you have been convicted of electoral offenses, and I believe the other one is only if you are insane or something like that. I stand to be correct. But there's no other restriction on you put on you by the Constitution.
Forgive me, Mr. Jordan. When I spoke about the conditions under which you can vote, I was using the American example to indicate that if you were charged, I think, feloniously, then you couldn't vote. They are the different categories which I was explaining. And of course, if you weren't sentenced, you could vote, and I refer to the remanded prisoners. But yes, taking note of the Chief Justice's ruling, really and truly, I don't see why anybody should be prevented from having their vote, contrary to what Nandalal is saying recently. Thank you.
And GCOM's poor excuse, as enunciated by a government-appointed commissioner, that they don't have arrangements or they can't put arrangements in place in time for prisoners to vote, it's ultra-virus the Constitution. I know lawyer, but it has to be ultra-virus the Constitution. And I said in that note, that message I sent to you, that perhaps our lawyers should move with alacrity to the court to say that decision of GCOM offends the Constitution and ask for an expedited hearing. Now, I don't want to belabor this point, but I just want to point you to a letter in today's Stabroek News by Neville December Jr., a very lengthy letter, but a letter worth reading, and which addresses these issues that you were talking about, and perhaps during this session here, you could perhaps go to Stabroek News, because you don't have to subscribe to the letter column, and you can pick up the letter there, and it's a well put together letter, addresses all the issues and points the way forward, both in terms of solutions and so on. But he also makes a very valid point that any other thing that cuts across, any law or non-law or anything that cuts across the Constitution is invalid. And so GCOM must not be made to get away with something that says they don't have arrangements in place, or that there is no law. There's no law in place specifically for that, as there is in, for example, with discipline officers. The fact that there is no law means that you go back to the Constitution. You have to find a way of making the prisoners vote, or and you can't just wish them away and said, well, we didn't have time and therefore they can't vote. There must be a violation. So I leave that to your viewers and ask them to go to Stabroek News today, to the letter column, and read the letter of Neville December, and let that be a catalyst for the filing of some lawsuit or something against GCOM and this practice that will allow prisoners not to vote. So that will be my on that one. I sent you that advertisement to let you know what is happening, which you know already, what is happening in this country. A lot of it silently. A lot of it silently. A lot of it right under our nose. And one day we will wake up, perhaps when it's too late. Just like in the Venezuela case where they're sending loads and loads of Venezuelans here, and one day we might wake up and find out that through a process of occupation, that we have ceded territory without a shot being fired across the bow. And one day we will wake up because of the paucity and the poverty of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that we have, who can't seem to defend us, even when it comes to a map of Guyana. That we have ceded territory without our knowledge, because of absence to do things that we should have done. And that is what is happening. This is just a small part. You never see an advertisement for doctors and nurses in Zimbabwe, in Ghana, in Nigeria. Nigeria produces some of the most brilliant people in the entire world. I'm not saying other places don't, but you never see that. You know how many Nigerian doctors are in United States, and nurses and so on, and they sing their praises. We never see that. We never see the government going for some parity and so on in its recruitment. That is one of the reasons I send you that they are arriving here in droves, right under our nose. And we will wake up one day when it's too late and find out we have ceded the country. It's a push and a pull factor. You push out the nurses who are largely African, Guyanese of African descent, out of the medical system. You push them out. And you pull in nurses and other medical workers who are of Indian descent, whether they come from India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, or wherever. You pull them in. Or you pull them in from Cuba, or wherever. But you're replacing predominantly nurses, Guyanese nurses of African descent who are pushing out of the system with other kinds of nurses, predominantly non-African. And you know what? It's a double whammy. Why is it a double whammy? When you push out the nurses and the doctors, Guyanese of African descent, who, by all voting practices, might have voted for the PNC/APNU/coalition. You lost a vote. But when you bring in largely Indian nurses of Indian descent, whether they're from Bangladesh or India or Sri Lanka or wherever, you add a vote largely for the Indian-dominated PPP. So that's 2 votes lost to the coalition, to the PNC. 2. The one you lost by pushing out the African Guyanese nurses, and the one you lost by the bringing in of these Indian nurses and medical workers who can vote after a year of residence in the country as Commonwealth citizens. And of course, you don't have money to pay the health workers. You don't have money to pay them. But you have money, foreign currency, because the local nurses, you'll pay them in Guyana dollars. But you have money to pay well in excess of what you would pay the locals to pay to foreigners. Whose skill set you are unaware of. You have to depend on the recruiters because you don't know who you're recruiting and what you're recruiting, who can't speak your language, and so forth. And it's not just that 1,200 and 1,500 US that you see there. There are a host of other benefits. When you add it up, the package is substantial. You have to pay the recruiter a commission for every person they recruit, plus an overall commission. You have to pay the passage return in and out of these people. You have to pay the passage in and out of their spouse and their dependents. You have to find accommodation for them. You have to pay them incoming allowance, settling in allowance, and you have to pay them outgoing allowance, settling out allowance, if you want to call it that. I think they may not be liable to taxes. The money is tax-free. And all these other conditions. You have over 1,000 plus such medical workers have left the system since 2020. Since 2020, the government has come in, largely Guyanese of African descent, to be replaced by all these workers that come in from India and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and so on. And of course, Cuba and China, by the way. Forget China also have a brigade here and so on. So we can wrap ourselves up in all this disjointedness and disunity and so on. On this Juneteenth day, while right before our eyes unfolding is a loss of our place in this society. People too afraid to talk the issues because they're afraid to be called racist. And like I said in a previous program, this is what has buried us as Guyanese of African descent in a country that we've toiled for centuries for free, and was never recompensed. Never recompensed. And we continue to toil for peanuts and piddlings while others get the gravy and the sauce. So we could continue our internecine strife and fight. When two elephants fight, the grass is the loser and the lion is the winner. So that is much I will say on that. I see Michael George, who is a ardent fan of the program. He said, he hope Jordan going to talk the thing today. And I hope the thing, and I know the thing that he was talking about was all the happenings of yesterday. I don't really want to talk about any happenings of yesterday as far as I'm concerned. A lot of that has been talked about for a long time. And we seem not to have listeners. As we old people used to say, we cark we ears. We cark we ears. It was a few programs ago that I put out a mathematical conundrum on this program. Nobody took it seriously, but I'll put it out again. How do you divide a minority to achieve a majority? How do you divide a minority to achieve a majority? Whenever that mathematical conundrum is solved, then we could accept splinter parties and splinters. Terence Blackmon and Renee Paris have just written a beautiful article. Short, sweet, and simple. In the Guyana Business Journal. on why splintering is disadvantageous to a party or parties in the coalition. And I recommend it for reading to all those who are willing to read and understand in principle. I don't know when we are going to get it. That regardless of what we think about our egos, about our this and our that and so on, if we ever take our eyes off the prize is government. I don't mind if you're quarreling when you reach into government. At least you have the purse strings and everything else that goes with government. I don't mind. In fact, that is the place to quarrel, when you're in government. But what objective you are achieving when you're quarreling when you don't have government? What objective you're achieving? And how many bulls can you have in the same pen? I saw former President Granger in Kaito News of Monday of this week. Whatever you may think about him, you have to admit he's a bright person. After all, I think he won the President's Medal in history. Well, not in history. He won the President's Medal at the graduation at University of Guyana. So that must say something. And he had an interesting take on what has been happening. And he hit the nail on the head. It's not about personalities. It's not about personalities. It's about programs. It's about boots on the ground. It's about servants, service, and servant leadership, and so on. And that, unfortunately, don't seem to be something that is rising to the top when it comes to the opposition. So I don't care who cross where, and all these kinds of story. And I saying that it's their right and so on is neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there. Until you can solve the mathematical conundrum of how to divide a minority, because that is what is the opposition, to achieve a majority, because that is what you have to achieve to be in government, I don't want to hear anything. All them people are friends of mine, whether distant friends, close friends, and so on. But I stick with what I know, and to the best of my abilities, I lend a hand to what I know. And if it's not known, I say it again. While I'm not a member, I'm an ardent supporter of the only party in this country who has an interest in uniting this country. If only that it comes, although it gets the majority of its support from one kind of people in this country, knows that it has to cross the borders into the other races to get to the finish line. It is the only party, and that's the People's National Congress / Reform. And every party will have its hiccups and whatever else and so on. But ultimately, it is the only party, once united and strong, can fight the PPP. And I can't see how, if you splinter in pieces here and pieces there and pieces everywhere, that either the splinter or the rump that is left going to be any threat to the PPP. And if after the 23 years that those of us who are fortunate to survive under the PPP, and the last 5 years, or close to 5 years, under the very same or worse PPP, is not enough to drive us into a unified position, then we all must be accepting of what we get post September the 1st. We all must be accepting. So I'm not going to comment on who got forward Guyana, backward Guyana, who got better must come last year, this year, or next year, and so on. All I'm going to say, me, I'm like Greenheart. I'm a firm supporter of the PVNC, the party, and I, whenever they make it ready for me, will die right there. Because for their 60 years or nearly 60 years or how long they have been around, they have shown me. They have shown me a Guyanese of African descent. And they've done for me, a Guyanese of African descent, what no other in this country has done for me. They gave me free education from nursery to university in 1976. That allowed me to go to university, and many others like me, and many others who don't look like me, to go to university and to attend secondary school and so on. All the multilateral schools that they built and so forth. When I went to school in the late 60s, secondary school, they didn't have too many secondary schools. I lived in Kitty, but had to go way down in Cummins Lodge for a secondary school. And around that time, all they had is Cummins Lodge, Annandale, Charlestown, and a number of private schools. And the PNC changed all of that. Built some of the most modern schools ever in the history of this country, those multilateral schools that had gymnasium at the time when that was an American thing, had gym for exercise and all this kind of story, had placed a little house for caretakers, the caretaker of the school and so on. The most modern school ever built in this country. And they've done so much for us. And for all people who don't even look like us. And you think today, I will turn my back on that kind of thing? Because why? I didn't get an X position or Y position, or didn't get my ego fulfilled or so on. Do you think Mia Motley is a Johnny come lately? Check the history of Mia Motley and see how she rose through the ranks, how hard she had to work, heartaches and heartbreaks that she went through. But she persevered and persisted, and she rose to the top. I hear people talking how waiting your turn is old thing. Old thing. It might be old thing, but experience, being forged in the crucible of fire and challenges, going to the lengths and breadths of this country interacting with the people, sleeping with them, eating with them, commiserating with them. Being forged in that crucible of fire is when we know you are ready for leadership. And if it takes that 5 years, so be it. But if it has to take you 45 and 50 years, so be it too. Ask me a Motley. She's not a Johnny come lately. She was forged in that fire, in that crucible. And that is the kind of leadership that you want. That is the kind of person that you will look for. And ultimately, that is the kind of person who will eventually build your party into something. She never left the BLP and crossed over to the DLP and crossed back to the BLP and so on. They stuck it out there. Owen Arthur said that he was going to only serve 2 terms as prime minister and then go, even though his constitution says he could serve 1,000,000 terms. But like so many others, after his 2 terms were up, he reneged on the promise and go for a 3rd term and was defeated. Instead of allowing Motley to come through. But she didn't get despondent. She rode it. She rode it. And eventually succeeded. When we talk about people and we are this and we are that and we are born in might and we are this height and so on, I wish we would study. I wish we would study the people, their moves, their actions, their ideology, and so forth, rather than thinking that just because we happen to know Bornum, we are Bornumite. Or we happen to know Jagon, we are Jagonite. So I'm not going to waste much time on that. I will look on at the country temps and whatnot and so forth. And I kind of like keep telling people I'm a retired professional who dabbled in politics. I never say I was a politician. I was a professional who dabbled in politics. And while I'm retired, I will still provide whatever help I can provide to the party that I support and that I will support right to the end until the maker calls me home, come hell or high water. So let me move on to one of the main topics I want to talk about today. A friend sent me a video of Jagdio's press conference last week. We usually have a banter going on and so forth. And he knows I don't listen to these press conferences and so on. So, but he still sent me this video. And I promptly deleted the video and told him, why are you sending me this thing? You know I don't listen to this foolishness. He never responded to me. But in Kaitor News of June the 16th, 2025, with the caption, Jagdio accuses Jordan of selling out state lands without collecting funds. A rather libelous headline, but Kaitor News feels that it will hide under the rubric that it was quoting Jagdio. Here's what I will read a part of it, of that article that concerns me. Quote, this is what coming from the article. At his recent press conference, Jagdeo accuses Jordan of being, quote, this is Jagdeo now, a person who was extraordinarily lazy in the period when I was Minister of Finance and President. But we kept him on. He was earning a foreign salary and doing very little in the Office of the Budget in the Ministry of Finance. End of Jagdeo's quote, as quoted by the Kaito News. I'm now quoting Kaito News here now. He went on to describe the former minister as, quote, this is Jagdeo, a disastrous minister of finance under the coalition's 5 years, who just put all these taxes that I have been talking about, layer upon layer of taxes, and in an unapologetic way, who was scandal-oriented. You remember what took place at GCOM and the conversation that was made public? You recall all of the lands that he transferred without collecting any money, some of them after the elections were held. End of quote of Jagdeo, as quoted in Kaito News. Now, this last piece is Kaito News. He said it was the same Jordan who thought that the US 18 million signing bonus was a gift to the coalition government. End of quote. Well, I would like to proffer some comments on some of these extremely libelous statements that were made by Jagdeo and quoted in the Kaito News. The first comment I would like to make is that I am now beginning to get concerned about Jagdeo's morbid obsession with me. Because this is the umpteenth time he seemed to have gone after me. I'm beginning to get worried about his morbid obsession with me. I don't know what is the obsession. I may have a clue in mind, but I don't know. I'd like to think that Jagdeo knows that I'm a married person. I have been married for this year 37 years. What is his obsession with me? I seem to recall the late Debbie Backer and her certain insinuations about this individual. I hope she was wrong. But I can see no reason why he's obsessed with me beyond the fact that I expose the shenanigans and who this individual is. I was in a position to expose because I worked with that individual in the Ministry of Finance. They came to power in 1992, October, when I was away on that 1 year Hubert Humphrey Fellowship, which is now under the Fulbright Fellowship. And I came back in, I think it's June or July of 1993. And I worked from 1993 until I resigned in 1994, August. So when previously he said on a previous press conference that he had sorried for me when they came in power in 1992 and kept me on, he could have knocked me off. And I responded to that. I didn't wait for you to knock me off, which he couldn't do. I resigned in August of 1994. And this is the individual who pursued me. I had no interest of going back to Ministry of Finance, but he pursued me. And when he became senior minister in 1995, he made me an offer that I couldn't refuse. And so I went back in June 1995. You know, I don't really want to use up our program time because we came on late, number one, and number two, it will take a lengthy time. I don't want to use up this program to deal with all of this foolishness here, because I dealt with his previous caustic criticisms and lies about me on a previous program or programs when I appeared on Nation Watch, the program of the PNCR that is moderated by Marvin Williams on Sundays. When I appeared on that program on Sunday, the 19th of January, in an over 2-hour broadcast. You know, you can find that program on YouTube for those who would like to go listen to it in your Juneteenth, seeing today is a holiday if you're at home and so on. You can go to YouTube and pick it up. Sunday 19th, is it Sunday 19th? It was Sunday 19th July. I see the program mark the 19th of July on it when I was looking for it. But in an over 2-hour broadcast, because the program is normally an hour, but it was extended for over 2 hours. I dissected, debunked, and laid bare everything that this individual, Mr. Know-It-All, had said about me. I presented facts, figures, documents. I read from the Hansard, and so on. It was a total dissection, total debunking. To date, this video on YouTube has attracted over 8,000 views. Over 8,000 views. And a similar presentation, in a sense, a precursor to that 19th January presentation, was made in December of 2024. To wit, the 15th of December of 2024. At least that is the date on the video. And that video itself has attracted nearly 3,000 views when I last checked. So combined, these two videos have attracted close to 11,000 views. And therefore, a lot of people out there know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So I guess he's stung by what I have been able to put out there. And he comes lashing out. Can you imagine me, who's not a threat to the PPP, a retired professional who dabbled in politics, can occupy this guy's quote-unquote precious time in seeking to malign and attack me, rather than getting on with the business for which his lofty title of vice president implies. In fact, I have concluded that it was a result of these two programs, the one in December and the one in January, that I was visited by Soku on March the 27th, 2025, with a summons to attend court on yet another trumped-up charge about land sale. Since that matter is before the court, I will say no more. I don't want to be accused nor hauled before the court for contempt. I am not that lucky. I see a number of people in the PPP, in the political, in government, the PPP, who talk all kinds of things of matters in court. They don't get dragged into the court for contempt. But I may not be that lucky, and I therefore don't want to antagonize the courts. So I will say nothing more of the matter that is in the court. But I want to remind viewers that following the discharge of the first matter about the sale of a wharf to BK International, y'all remember that case? Where they accused me of selling some wharf to BK, a wharf that they said worth $5 billion, and I sell it for $19 million or $20 million or so on. Where that matter was dismissed by the magistrate. And unknowing to me, the DPP took an ex parte application to the High Court to have me committed to stand trial in the High Court on the same matter that was discharged by the magistrate. She applied for a warrant to arrest me to stand trial in the High Court. I wasn't aware of this. The BK matter was dismissed in May of 2023. And in a judgment by the Chief Justice acting that was dated February 2024, she dismissed the DPP's application in a very scholarly and erudite decision that is worth reading for the areas that it touched on. She dismissed the application by the DPP. I should recall at this stage that I have sued the AG, the DPP, and 2 policemen in relation to this matter concerning the sale of wharf. I have sued them for $1 billion, Guyana dollars. And again, I say no more, other than to say that matter is before Justice Gino Passad, and I await his decision. I say that in August of last year, he awarded me $200,000 on a preliminary matter, which should have been paid by October, first week, I think, of October or second week of October of last year. 100,000 each to be paid by the DPP and the AG, and so far they have made no payment. They have made no payment. But I will soldier on because my integrity is of paramount importance to me. And no one will get away with maligning me, maligning my name, and so on. No one, bar none. He feels that he's all powerful. He feels that all institutions of worth are under the thumb of the PPP. And therefore he could do or say anything and still in the safe knowledge that he will get away with it. I don't consider myself of any means, of any means. Whatever I got, I have worked for and worked for the old-fashioned way, hard. It's not much, but I'm contented. And in this life, contentment should be a big part of your being. But folks, have some fun with me. Have some fun with me. I must be the only lazy person who is not known to be a supporter of the PPP government, who was kept on for 12 years, 1995 to 2007, by Jagdeo, and being paid in quote, and being paid, quote, a foreign salary. Yeah, give me a thumbs up, man. Give me a thumbs up. I must have something going for me. I'm an extraordinarily lazy person who was able to survive 12 years. This fact of being extraordinarily lazy was known, but he still, quote, kept me on at, quote, a foreign salary. So y'all give me a thumbs up, man. Not everything is bleak. Give me a thumbs up. And when you're done, see through the smoke screen and the shenanigans and the lies. See through it for what it is. See through it for what it is. I want y'all to go to that video I'm talking about, the January one in particular. Go to it. And you will see exposed and laid bare why he's stung. And see who's the extraordinary lazy person. And see who was the patriot doing what was needed for a country before it crashed, before the incompetence. It is only in Guyana, I believe. Maybe other countries, but I only know about Guyana, where the likes of the Jagdeos could come through to be junior minister, prime minister, president, leader of the opposition, vice president. It's only the likes of the place like Guyana that can happen. I know y'all know that when y'all see laziness and extraordinary laziness, y'all can identify with it. Y'all know it when y'all see it. Even if it is dressed up in honorary degrees and other academic plumage from universities, no one remembers or care to remember. I don't need accolades or insults or whoever from the likes of the Jack Deos. They do nothing for me. You know, people said to me when I used to work at Ministry of Finance when the PPP was in. Oh, they said, "Man, Jordan, like you switch sides or what?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Man, you working there as consultant and the Jack Deo them and the PPP." I said, "Brother, I work for the state again. I work for the state again. I'm well grounded. I am well grounded. And if they can pay me foreign salary, I'm happy. Because if not me, they can pay somebody else, most likely one looking like them. But as long as you remain well grounded, you have nothing to be afraid of. You have nothing to be afraid of. And you know why I don't bother with the likes of the Jaguars and them, who while they have these big lofty titles and so on, believe that they could lord it over others. You know why I don't bother? I don't bother because when I received the likes of what I received on Father's Day, here is someone who worked with me for a long time. Here is what she sent me on Father's Day. She says, "Happy Father's Day to one who emulated how to correct with kindness and guide with grace those who work for and with you. Always appreciated." Those are the compliments and the sentiments which I cherish and which push me forward and which push me further. Not the acid ungratefulness, unthankfulness of the likes of the Jagdeos them, who was willing to pay me a foreign salary for 12 years, not to be extraordinarily lazy, but to make him look good, to hide his incompetence. And while receiving the extraordinary, and while receiving the foreign salary in the early years, we were sworn to silence. Because it's not only me who received the foreign salary, the likes of the Winston Brassington, and Corset Satar, and Edgar Heliger, and the foreigner, Kobe Frimpong, and another foreigner in the AFC president who came as an ODI fellow, Overseas Development Institute fellow. These young people used to come out of England and come here, greenhorns, and who was being paid nearly 3 times the foreign salary that they were paying me in the AFC president he was. All of we were getting foreign salary to make Jagdeo look good. To make Jagdeo look good. And I don't recall any of us complaining. Certainly not me. I never talked about Jagdeo or the work I did at Ministry of Finance, ever. ever. Because as a good, true professional, that is not something that you may, you know. But that guy, from the time I became a minister, started attacking me. I don't mind if you attack the politics and so on. But when you begin to make it personal, you have to fight back.
Hello. Good morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. And I like me conniving morning. Morning, are you morning? Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. It is Friday. It is the 20th day of June in the year 2025, and it is 6 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour. Welcome to the program. Facebook, YouTube, welcome to the program. TikTok. Talkers, good morning. How y'all doing? What's going on? Y'all all right? Good. Happy when you're happy. It's another Friday. It's Free Talk Friday at Camp Stevie, and so we're going to get on with the show, with the program. We're going to be talking the things y'all heard a lot said by Mr. Jordan. So you can talk about that, or you can talk about anything you want to talk about, as a matter of fact, because it's Free Talk Friday. I see they got another imposter named Cam's Coffee. Well, I know y'all could do your worst. Right, y'all could do your worst. Cam's Coffee supporters him for president. He got a gumption to break the PPP and PNC stronghold. He demand accountability from all. Well, he will demand a lot of things. The PPP said they're demanding accountability from Azriddin. They are reopening an investigation into the murder of paper shots. Well, if the only time Guyanese are going to get investigations into murders and misdemeanors and abduction and rape and child murder and so on is when somebody offends the PPP. Yeah, I best pray that they get offended every single day by the right people. Because as far as I remember, Azriddin was a good friend. Right? Azriddin was a good friend of the PPP, and up until recently, he remained a good friend of the PPP, but he dared to challenge them. Right? At least so it would look. All right. So I want some people continue to aggravate the PPP so we can have them open investigations and so on, especially the folks over at Day Hotel and so on. But hey, we got some stories to talk. Ian Harry is asking if Dr. Hines' program has been cancelled. No. Sometimes I say I gotta send Mr. Dr. Hines, Professor Hines, an invoice for PR work. Unless he didn't say it, unless he said it and you people weren't listening. Dr. Hines has not been on for the last, several days. Let me say several days. Has not been on for several days because he was traveling. Not I said he was traveling. He was traveling to come home to Guyana. And so he has recently arrived and he is settling in. Right? And as soon as he gets settled, I'm sure he's going to return to the program. You know, not everybody likes to put their business out there for everybody know, despite the fact that we're public figures and so on. It's not everybody like to say, well, listen, I'm traveling to Guyana tomorrow. Because I don't know who's going to lay with me along the route from Kimeri to Buxton. So I keep that close to my chest. Right? And when I arrive in Buxton, then I might say, hi, y'all. I'm in Buxton. Sorry, I didn't tell y'all before, but y'all understand these security situations. And so y'all don't chastise me for it. Good? But you are going to hear from Dr. Hines soon enough. I hope he's not upset that I've been made it known to you. Um, made it known to you that he, right? So y'all don't fret yourself, man. Fret not thyself. Fret not thyself. Your mentor, teacher, leader, whatever you associate Dr. Hines with where you're concerned. He hasn't abandoned you. I see Audrey Bong is saying, yes, he did mention that he would have been here shortly. You know, but so some people just didn't pay attention. I have to pay attention. I keep telling you got to read in between the lines and above the line and a decided line and so on. Sometimes we say things, but we don't say it with the kind of clarity that can make the intellectually lazy get the information that we want to share with you. It's like your ancestors on the plantation. They never used to talk openly so backward can understand what they used to say. They used to sing. You know? Backward didn't even know that he named backward. So when they're singing Emancipation Bill, pass, backward man, so you can grasp. It's the plantocracy that they're teasing. So yeah, sometimes just listen to reading between the lines. Hint to Benny, but make Kwashiba take notice. Right? Good. So let's talk about those things. Let's understand that as a matter of fact. What we gotta talk about? We gotta talk about enough things, man. Yesterday was GCOM had a briefing. Then the champion called us, what is that? There goes my PR check. I don't understand that. Oh, because I said that the doctor is here. He's going to withdraw my payment. I think that is what he should pay me. Because early morning, late in night is my phone, people messaging, what happened to Dr. Hines? Is he okay? Right? What happened to Dr. Hines? Is he okay? Is Dr. Hines not coming on today? Sometimes I'm tempted to ask y'all if I'm Dr. Hines' keeper. What y'all are asking me for? But we have families, so the sky rough y'all up. Good? All right. God, I hope I get my check because I do work. Well, I do work. So y'all gotta send me check. Remember, catch up on Zelle and all of that. Y'all gotta send me check. Good. So yesterday was GCOM had a briefing with presidential hopefuls, let me say, or the representatives of the political parties that intend to contest the next election that is on September 1st. You realize how many political parties we got in this country? So far, 28 of them. 28 parties went to the briefing with GCOM. So we can imagine that there are at least 28 political parties that intend to contest the election. So it means there are 27 political parties that are going up against the PPP to contest the election. The Barlet Tyrant said yesterday, put all of them together, they make one PPP. You know, we like to say, put all of them together, they make one, and me, I beat up all of them. The Barlet Tyrant said exactly that yesterday. He said, don't worry, all them parties are cropping up, man. My words, eh? Put all of them together, they can't beat the PPP. And you know what? I agree. That put all them 28 parties out there in the election, they can't beat the PPP. No, I didn't say it together. Let all of those 27 parties go up against the PPP. They can't win them. And y'all don't get me wrong, don't think I endorse any PPP. Because some of y'all don't read in between the lines. That is why I take my time and I explain. I think that is what has always made me a good teacher. And my forte is remediation. I like to teach remedial students. I like to do remedial education because I like go down to peanuts and you know, sweets and so on to teach people. Mr. Jordan makes it complicated. He say, I challenge y'all to divide a minority and make it a majority. It's the same thing we're talking about here. 27 political parties are going up against the PPP. And they're going up against the PPP. Basically, each of them wants a slice of the cake that is available to the opposition. Now, if we look at the cake currently that is available, the PPP has a bigger share than the opposition. Isn't that so? Yeah. Let me say the PPP get 51% of the cake. 49% is available to the opposition. 27 political parties would like to have a slice of that cake individually. And remember, the rules of the election say who has the largest slice of the cake by themselves. Who has the largest slice of cake by his or herself is the winner. Are you understanding me? So if each of you cut into that slice, that 49% slice of cake that is available to the opposition right now, I'm dealing with reality. Your slice can be bigger than the PPP. You will not arrive at a bigger slice than the PPP. If each of you cut into that 49% slice, and then you take a little bit from the PPP, because I'm being very honest. From the look of things historically in this country, I don't see the opposition getting more than 1 or 2% of PPP vote in any election. Look at the history. It's always a 49, 51% kind of thing you see in the electoral results of this country. It's always a one-seat majority you see in the results of the elections in this country. Right? One seat majority. And so to win the PPP, you first have to hold on to your 49% or your 34 seats and go after 2 seats or at least 1 seat from the PPP. But if you all are intent on breaking up this 34 seats that you have into small pieces and share it out, even if you get a seat or 2 from the PPP and you add it to somebody who has gotten a slice of the 34, they still can't get more than the PPP slice. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Because at the end of the day, if you want to beat the PPP, if you want to get the PPP out of political power, it will take all of the slices that 27 political parties will get put together, plus a slice or 2 from the PPP. And so you want to put the PPP out of power, and it's 27 splintered groups, if you call that, if I can call it that are going to the elections. Huh? Y'all answer me. Y'all make it make sense. All is not lost. 27 political parties went to the briefing along with PPP. But 27 political parties don't have to contest the elections individually. You gotta find some understanding out there. You gotta come to some understanding out there. And consolidate those 27 political parties. So it becomes a grouping of 27 against the PPP one. And then is when you stand a chance of beating the PPP and beating them convincingly. So Jagio knows what he's saying. He said, put all of them together. Put all of them together. They can't beat me. Right? Loose stock. Because put all of them together, they will be able to consolidate the gains and they're going to trash the PPP. That's my desire, that they're going to put all of them together. But am I being a realist? No, I can't be a realist. Because if I were to be a realist, then I will get to understand. TikTok at the right here. I hope you are listening to me. If I were to be a realist, then I will acknowledge that they ain't going to happen. 27 political parties are not going to go under one banner and contest the election against the PPP. Because of selfishness. Why do you think we got 27 political parties? Because there are 27 groups of people. Let me start with the individuals. There are 27 individuals who believe that they got a right to control the resources of this country, and only they got a right to control the resources of this country. They don't see that they have a role to play in the control of the resources. Because if you recognize you have a role to play, then you can recognize that you can be a part of a team that will control the resources. No, if you believe that you alone got a right to control the resources, then you want to lead. And since I can't lead, I am going to form my own team. And so we got 27 teams. 27 teams. We are beating ourselves. An old student of mine said to me the other day, y'all can't win Jack Deal. So why? You see what y'all doing? In fact, a old classmate of mine messaged me last night and said, y'all making a mess of things. And I'm saying it this morning. I'm saying it. Sad to say, I'm going to use some hard words, but I have no apology to make. If the leaders of those 27 political parties tell themselves that separate and apart, they could get the PPP out of the office, they are a set of jackasses. And Guyanese must see them for that, a set of jackasses. The oppressed must see them for that, a set of jackasses. And call them by the name. Yeah, Mr. Aslam, you disrespectful to political leaders, and you yourself in politics, you're an executive member of the WPA. Yes, I say it. Anybody who call herself a leader in this time and doesn't recognize the importance of consolidation has to be a jackass. Mr. Aslam, you could say so. I could say so because I'm judging you by your actions. I'm judging you by your actions. I didn't think anybody could accuse me there of disrespecting the leaders of the Working People's Alliance, because from since I was a boy, we say we believe in coalition politics. It is coalition politics that will remove the PPP from government. And so I can't be referring to any of my comrades around the table at WPA as jackasses because they believe in coalition. I will, if I'm a political, I will not coalesce with the PNC. I will not coalesce with Justice. I will not coalesce with. I'll go it alone. If you decide that you're going it alone, it means that the only thing important to you is self, and Guyanese must see you for that. Guyanese must see you for that. I am not going to use 1 ounce of my energy, not what they call them, kilojoules or calorie. I am not going to use 1 unit of my energy to support anybody that doesn't have the national interest at heart. And for me, the only display you could really make, the only show you could put up for me to say that you have the national interest at heart is being a part of a grand coalition that has the possibility of removing the PPP from office. I don't tell me nothing about minority government. Minority government happened once in this country, and it did not serve the will of the people. It did not serve the will of the people. And so you don't tell me that you're going to come and reinvent the wheel and you're going to make minority government work in this country. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. You want minority government work? Ensure you join a team. Remove the PPP from office. Make demands while you are in government to change the constitution to allow people, political parties and individuals to coalesce after an election. And so there's always a possibility then that, okay, I want to be individualistic. I'm going to contest as an individual. I'm going to contest with my own team. And after the election, based on the results, I'm going to choose who I want to be in bed with. But in the current dispensation, the current constitution which we have says that there can be no coalition after the elections. There can be no coalition after the election. And so if you can't coalesce after the election, how you expect to bring all of these pieces together after the election to put the PPP out of office? It can't happen. Because at the end of the day, who gets the biggest slice at the end of the election controls the government. Controls the government. And so even if you're all in these splinter groups, I ain't calling you, I'm nothing else but splinter groups. Even if you're all in these splinter groups, get a majority of the votes combined as splinter groups. Let me use the word accumulated. The Constitution say, look to see which individual group has the majority of the votes and give them the government. Do you sincerely believe that if 27 y'all chopping at the same piece of pie, any y'all gonna come out with a bigger piece than the PPP? I don't think so. I don't think so. And so if you can't accept that reason, if you can't accept that reality, then you're dumb, you got tunnel vision. You got tunnel vision. And the only thing you're seeing at the light of the tunnel is light for you. As a political leader, I can get enough votes to put me in parliament. You alone? Is it concerned about you alone? What to all them people in this country who are facing oppression? What to all them people you asking for the vote? What to all them people who you asking to rally with you, campaign with you? When you alone sit on the one seat, what are you going to do for them? Tell me. What can you do for them? You alone sitting on a seat in parliament. The parliamentary remuneration might not even be enough for you according to your long heart. So what are you going to do for them? They got to sit down in the wilderness and say, oh, is we put she in parliament, you know? We really support, we really work hard for she in parliament, you know? But she sucking the sweet and you sucking, and we sucking salt. As against, you all come together, win the government, and then you can do more for the people who stand with you, stand at the side of you, stand behind you. Because you can work together on policies that will benefit the people. And you're going to get for benefit too. You're going to get for thief. You're going to get for you're going to be Dr. Korea till leisure. You're going to get for drink rum in parliament. You're going to get duty-free concession. You're going to still live above the fray. You still live above the fray. You might not be the head honcho. Or as we used to say as growing up, HNIC, the head nigga in charge. You might not be the head nigga in charge, but you're part of the team and you will be catered to and catered for. While your supporters also will be catered to and catered for. But no, I want to lead because there's a space guaranteed for the leader. Want to the people them where you claim you're leading. You really ain't got the interest of that. Tell them I said, and therefore I'm going to address them. Any group of people in this country who supporting any leader who doesn't support a coalition in this election is a jackass. A whole group of jackasses. Y'all could banish me. It's Free Talk Friday. Y'all could banish me. I just thought in my mind. Any group who running behind any singular leader who say, I am not going to coalesce, I'm not going to join a bigger group of people to challenge the PPP. Jackass in themselves. That's a put a lion to lead sheep. The sheep gonna behave like a lion. Put a jackass to lead people. The people are gonna behave like jackass. I'm sorry, I was running behind team this and team that and team that. I ain't calling nobody team right now. I ain't depend on. Let's see, I say calling people name. I don't like calling people name, but y'all smart. Currently, the biggest consolidated group in the opposition right now is the APNU WPA. Is the APNU WPA. So it's already possible that they will get the biggest slice of the opposition cake. They will get the biggest slice of the opposition cake. Everybody else who believes they're going to get a slice should try to add their slice to that big slice. Are you agreeing with me? APNU WP is the biggest quote-unquote consolidated group in the opposition ranks right now, going up against the PPP. Anybody else who wants to challenge the PPP, therefore, should seek to add their lot to that slice, and so it can become bigger. I can't see any other conception. I can't see any other formation. I can't see any other formula for putting the PPP out of office. Y'all want to experiment with Mohammed? Wait until the PPP is out of office after September 1st. For your votes, all your votes, put all your eggs in the one basket. The APNU WPA coalition with all your will come and join it. Put all the eggs there. Put the PPP out of office. And then the next election, you could experiment with Mohammed. You could experiment with Amanza. You could experiment with Theocracy Raswini, Black Man thing. You could experiment with all the splinter groups that exist in. But your first order of business should be put the PPP out of office. Let me call them a giant. Put the giant PPP out of office. And then you could go back into your singular corners with access to government and build up your strength of your individual groups. And in the next election, say, well, here one by, I'm going to challenge you all now. I have all of we join we think together and get rid of the PPP, we get rid of the giant. Well, I'm going to prove now that I'm as strong as y'all. And so I'm coming up against y'all. It is statistically impossible for Mohammed to come and win the 2025 election. It is statistically impossible for Walton Desir to come and win the 2025 election. It is statistically impossible for AFC to come and win the 2025 election. Standing alone. There's a higher chance that the APNU WPA coalition can do it. But I'm also arguing that while there's a higher chance, it is near impossible, you know. The guy gets support, the guy get pushed, the guy get brace here, brace there. What y'all gonna do? Waste your energy? Split the votes? Or y'all gonna get sense and throw your votes where it really can make a difference? Again, I'm saying it. Any 27 leaders of a political party believing that they can go it alone and win the PPP is a set of jackasses. The lines are opened. 622-5933 is the number to call. No straight call. Y'all call strictly by WhatsApp. And I have my reasons for doing that. Please call strictly by WhatsApp. Don't straight call me. Right? You folks over TikTok, y'all can call too, but you got to call by WhatsApp. 622-5933. And we could have a chat. We could have a gap. Good? Here we go. First call on the line. Call you on. Can you hear me? Hey, it's you? I hope you ain't gonna come and upset my good spirit this early morning. You're gonna get a handle. Go ahead. You you're free to go. Speak. Call, I can't hear you. Call all the line. Because I seem not to be hearing you. Oh. Hold the line, caller. God ain't sure we can hear you. Even the dull and ignorant, they too have their story. So I gotta listen to everybody. Right? Talkers? Okay, that over there. Call and proceed.
Yes, Mr. Kadaki. I thought Dr. Hines would have been the prime ministerial candidate for the coalition between the WPA and the APNU. If we look at the work he's been putting in for the past 5 years for the opposition, and then at the end of the day, Mr. Darky choose someone who just joined the party. You think that is fair to Mr. Hack to Dr. Hines?
All is fair in love, war, and politics. Caller, let me ask you a question. Where you come from? Under a rock?
What do you mean?
Because yesterday I explained why, again, it is and there was a replay also this morning when it was explained why it is practically impossible for Dr. Hines to be prime ministerial candidate or Manza Walton Desir to be prime ministerial candidate, just to name a few. Let me explain this to you. When the PPP took office, are we saying that the folks over at you're not hearing me on Facebook?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yeah, just now. You are on a special line. I'm looking at those who are listening to the room. All right, good. So let me explain this to you. Since the PPP came in with this construct, right, that says Indian presidential candidate, African prime ministerial candidate, there's a formula for winning. The opposition parties basically adopted that same formula. African presidential candidate, Indian prime ministerial candidate. So there is always that African Afro-Indo mix. And so let's hop across to the coalition now. If Aubrey Norton is the leader of the coalition, presidential candidate is African, it follows that it is highly unlikely, not that it's impossible, it is highly unlikely that another African would be given the second slot as prime minister. Are you understanding me, sir?
I understand what you're saying, but let me ask you a question. I want to ask you, you think Jurita Finance got a better following than Dr. Hines?
This is not an argument of following, chap. I call it yesterday ethnic dressing, ethnic window dressing. You think, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. You think Mark Phillips has a better following in the Indo-Guyanese community than Anil Nandalal?
No, I didn't vote for Mark Phillips. I voted for PPP.
Have a good day. You have answered my question. Get out of here.
No. Listen to me. I got one more question for you.
Hey, go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay. You're not a young person like Sarabo Hali. Why she can't come over to the WPA?
Chap, again, you know, let's make a call you some harsh names.
I don't care, man.
So Sarabo Hali, Tabitha Sarabo Hali, was an executive member of the Working People's Alliance. As a matter of fact, in the last coalition government, she was made a minister.
Right.
At the end of it all, she chose to leave the WPA. She chose to leave the WPA.
Well, why? Explain to the public why. And if the WPA don't need her.
Hello, call Sarabo Ali and ask her why she left the WPA. I'm not her PR person. I was when she was a minister. No, she's not a minister. I'm not her PR person. She can't pay me for it. Y'all have a good day. Goodbye.
Thank you, Mr.
You don't know the temerity of these chaps. I don't know y'all not hearing the call. Anyhow, I'm gonna fix that. Apache, what kind of iPad now? I haven't mastered yet how I can do both sides. In terms of, you know, but let me see. Let me invite Apache and see what Apache has to say. If he's going to come on and say anything, and we'll see if he can be heard. Right? Caller. Call you on. Good morning.
Good morning to all the viewers and listeners. Good morning. You called this morning. It is needed. It is necessary. But to the electorate, we are not. First of all, we are not living in a nutshell. Everybody knows what's going on. Everybody knows our strengths and our weaknesses. So it didn't definitely have to break it down that much this morning. So these all these complicated political parties that are showing up right now, because they all know what's going on, they all know what we have to do. So, but I commend you for breaking down, and the rationale. The rationale is strong as well. It's together and it's very succinct. Everyone could see exactly and know and understand exactly what you're trying to say. So to the political parties who are coming up in this election, this rationale that we just played out for you there is very plausible. So as you know to yourself, we are all going through this situation together. We all being pressured by the results of this corrupt government being in power and doing all sorts of things to us, killing us, starving us, physically, financially, everything. So I appeal to you to adhere to these callings because you must coalesce with the stronger opposition parties. So I'm calling on all of the contending political parties. You can't make it on your own, as Mr. Anthony said. We can't make it, and we are all in this barrel together, and we all being deprived together, and we all be disenfranchised together, all these things. And we all know what's going on and who is going to. We know that if we do not come together as a unit, as one unit, we only empower these people more to disenfranchise us more, and it's going to be worse because they have even more money. There are wars going on right now in Middle East, and the price of oil is about to shoot over $100 a barrel. So with that kind of funds, imagine what they would do to us, even more what they already do to us. So please, people, you have to understand what's going on. Let's come together and let's these evil people out of this government. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your call. TikTok, I gotta go. TikTok, you can join me over Cam Steve on Facebook and YouTube. KAMS TV on Facebook and on YouTube, and you can be part of the conversation. Right? I welcome you over there. Please and thank you. I gotta go now, though. Call you on. Good morning. Call you on. Good morning.
Good morning, PM listeners. I want to start with this the moment. So let's talk about the good things, like the salary increases, like the increased threshold and all the plans. And the negative things should be about what the PPP has done, the concussion road. That's how we should go about it. That's in my opinion. And stop talking about who we can't win. We will win if we do the right thing. Right? And then lastly, about this of the northern thing where people saying that people leaving the PNC and all of that. People need to understand that Arby Norton's, you said it a lot of times with going to be the head of the list. Arby Norton's hand was in Piper's mouth because
these people that jumping ship, they were always Granger and Harmon's faction. So they were always fighting against Arby Norton. But he had to learn to play the game. If you notice now, he's coming out because it's the end of Granger's tenure. He can't continue to be the head of the list. And you find Arby Norton is saying the positive things now that we were expecting him to say long before. And in terms of they go about their work quietly, which is a good thing. We want to hear what they're doing, but when we hear what they're doing, the opposite, the PPP, the government is also hearing what they're doing and go after people. And that's what they're trying to avoid, where the government going after people that they think. So it has to be kept in the quiet. And we have to understand that. So let's be patient and let's work together to get rid of the PPP. Right? Stop arguing. And for those who left and who will leave, my mother always used to say, every disappointment is for a good. So let's take it as a good for those who jump in now. Let them jump. Have a good weekend. Bye.
Thank you, caller. The lines remain home. 6225933 is the number to call. You tune to the Guyanese morning time. Hey, Dennis Champion Colson, I like you, come out in front of the class. It sounded like that individual, but I doubt whether. That episode wouldn't call my program. Callie, on, good morning.
Hello.
Callie, you are on. Good morning.
Good morning to Mr. Sam and the Guyanese diaspora. I want to make a simple contribution to today on regard of Mr. Norton. I first met Aubrey Norton way back when he just toured from Cuba. He and two of my whole high school schoolmates, Jeffers, who is now deceased, and Bernard Griffith, who is now deceased. And I was introduced as the next Burnham. Let us fast forward. Corbyn is the man who's beginning to censor Aubrey. It trickled down to Granger.
Scholar.
Yes, sir.
I want a history lesson. Are we moving forward?
Okay. Okay. Let me say this. It's an imperative that the black people in Guyana vote one way, because we have seen the Indian does not move across to support the PNC in large number as these black people are moving. And to those who move over, I hope they have a voice in the PPP party, because as far as I know, and my observation, they will be having a goggle over their nose and their mouth. They cannot speak at will, and they'll have a leash around their neck, because baby Satan is relentless. Baby Satan one objective is to destroy the PNC at all costs and destroy Borno Legacy. The way they're changing names and doing things in Guyana, black people are asleep. And this is the time that you got to mobilize, accelerate, and decide that you want a change. Too much of the wealth is going to once to the people's pocket, which are the Indians. All the black and Afro Guyanese that work in the PP government, all the work for the salary and a duty-free concession for a car. Okay? That's all I get out of it. Unfortunately, they're running around like the one, the little, what call it, the stray dog puppy, we name, James Bond. I told Rick Burke the same thing. I said, Rick Burke, stop saying that people must go. You should mobilize in people, use the platform to get people to come home and vote. I told him 3 times, and he upset. I told Melly the same thing. Your messaging should be get people to come home and vote who can afford to vote. There's enough red herring that this PPP government, okay, have done in the last 5 years that they do not deserve on their records. But what is happening? For some time, I was asking for the opposition politicians to come out and speak. Parliamentarian, and they sat there silently because they want to be a friend of a friend. Mr. Amsterdam, I'm angry. You hear me? I'm angry. I'm disappointed. Okay? Have a nice day. Have a great weekend.
Anybody morning viewers, morning guidance. Pertaining to Amanzo. Amanzo always fronted. She always is a girl.
Oh yes, I was saying thank you for that voice note. I won't play it. I'll stop calling people name and describing them. I told you about that already. Let's discuss ideas, man. You allow me for do all the name calling. What I do? It is 14 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour on the 20th day of June in the year 2025. Let me see if I got any other voice note. Listen, I'll be honest with you. You don't have to denigrate anybody to make a point about their decision making. Let me call it poor decision making. You could make the point without, call it alive. Good morning.
Morning, Kadaki. Yeah, morning. Yeah, well, Dr. Hines said it already, that the coalition that was stupidness. Dr. Hines said it when he went today the first morning, right? And it's truth. Use a term like BT, but don't worry the ones them they call them fight bill. You see this thing with the coalitions, the coalition when got themselves together and going to this election. And you say clear, there is a job. You said it clear. Their game should have already been, where is it, the way forward, how to tackle and move in this government. And I said night with them, I can look for, I know Nigel, And I know nothing. And I can look for them and get them in mouth impersonal. But you know, always so angry, they put him in a position that I would support the people them where the scar today fight bill. Most of the ones them behind the name them that we know that cross the floor for their own personal benefit. How the coalition behaving, the putting in the position for just support them, let us support the oppressors. Because the other end is the key oppressors. I can't understand how these parties that supposed to got the people interest at heart, the people, Norton and Nigel, they should already got their way forward how they're dealing with moving this administration, and the people should have already been mobilized in terms of rocking the streets them and getting the people out. Now today, less than 2 months, we going to election, and they're still grumbling. But what position we want and what position they behaving more worse than the men in the street because the power is the pen. Whatsoever is it, the arrangement should have already been tied up with pen upon paper. Where's people position today after? But no, they kind of people that they're supposed to. They got a nation at risk where people we living in a society where people believe when you have money, you could do what you like and work with it. And before they break down and dismantle the system in many, many areas, you know, next thing, we're in such a society that people is penalizing the police alone. Since you talk to the average man, the police, there's the police, but in many ministry, it's the same thing. People sleeping, and when you ask them, when people sleeping and they want to do the work, since you tell them about the money, immediately they get the energy for move. And it's the PPP administration got it like this, whereby the whole place is a flimsy thing, and before the coalition, the two central coalition, the two central party, before they get it right, and they should already get it right and prepare for this today. 2 months, less than 2 months, they're still grumbling what position we want, what we want. But I in agreement with you, mighty for you, and whoever voting for any single party, they're voting for donkeys. Good morning and enjoy the weekend, though.
Good morning, sir. What you're saying is truth. I'm saying the same thing. No party cannot go separate by themselves. You have to collate to get these people them out of the way. That is right. No one man cannot stand up there alongside these people them. You have to collate and get these people them out. What you're saying is just right. Truly speaking.
Kadaki, blessings and good morning. Your editorial this morning is fantastic. And you use that term that you speak in your mind. That is not your mind, you know, that is facts. That is the gospel truth. And you're not wrong. But Kadaki, my contribution this morning, I love Guyana. I love Guyana. Guyana is a beautiful place. But I will say this. Bharat Jagdeo would need a psychiatric evaluation. That is all your first move. Something is wrong with Bharat. Yesterday, I look at his conference or whatever it is. I take a good look at it. And when you look at Bharat's face, Kakaraki, I'm not wrong. You could review that footage. The man's face has two color. I don't know if he bleached in the face or what, but his face wasn't looking normal. Addition to that, the conversation he was carrying on was totally absurd. That's woman conversation. Is a set of woman talk, is a set of bacchanal. Bacchanal. Kokomesa, but Jarrett this and Amanza this and women talk. And what's so disturbing? I check all the song system there and was around 6 microphone. So 6 media house there and listening this man to talk in a set of foolishness. Karaki, something is wrong with this man. Bharat Jagdev is not normal. He needs psychiatric help. I'm not joking. All they had to get either the UN and get the American embassy involved to take this man to do a psychiatric evaluation. Something is wrong. Something is totally wrong. Because what I gather, Bharat Jagdev just want to do whatever he wants. Whatever he wants, nobody says nothing, nobody do nothing, like everybody just afraid him like he large and in charge. Kabaki one man, that unbelievable boy. But anyhow, it could do what he want. It could really go still lost. Ian Riggy was still lost. Evil can't overcome good. God is good. And good will come out of this election. You trust me. Karaki, I'm out and listening.
Man, good morning. What driver say, like, I didn't even know what driver say. But at 73 years, it hurt my heart to know that these brilliant people, they use the England capital, the PNC for symbol, and you can go on. All them call themselves bright people, and they can see that they making Don Snow look like brighter than them. The highest grade in education look like Don Snow.
Miss Kadaki, good morning. Good morning to you and your viewers. Miss Kadaki, people should all know how the PPP stay, how wicked, stinking, dirty it is, and vindictive. As long as you can't sing the supper or you can't go with what them want, you and them will fall out and they will go all means to tarnish your reputation and thing. Now, I don't know Mr. Muhammad personally, but so far he has been around the country, he have meeting people, greeting them. And Paper Charles murder was since in 2021, right? Now, we all know the police come out and they give a statement, everything, and they said was not Mohammed who did the murder, right? The man we name Bacchus or whoever confront, right? That they trying to sabotage him for he said that well as Mohammed. He come out and he said that was not Mohammed who did the murder, right? Now we all know the acting commissioner, everybody, the crime chief, all of them come out and they give a statement that was not Mohammed, was the individual who did the shooting. Now, we all know what is coming about. Now they bring back an investigation into Paper Shards murder. Why you didn't bring it up all the time? You understand? You let sweep under the carpet, but suddenly because the man running and the man's a threat to y'all now, right? Y'all say y'all don't fear, they say they don't fear the man, they don't think, but these people so wicked, evil, stinking, and dirty, Miss Kadaki. You understand? And people should see the type of people who them want to run this country. These people are dictators. These people have no shame whatsoever in them, especially by Jagdeo. This man think he own this country and he feel he DNA leave here. You understand? These people so ridiculous because the man running for president, the man's a threat to them. They bring up all sorts of other things.
What the amount of criminal, what the amount of things he did when he was president, in his presidency. What Saturday was Sam Murder. Watch all them murder who happened under his watch. You understand? He gave a account for anyone them thing. These people so wicked. I don't know what to say about these people, honestly. How we guys just sitting down and allowing these people to continue to do this nonsense all the time? Which other country could happen in the world? What's going on in this country? Once dictator you got running into a bunch of nonsense in this country. What when he was exposed with Sue doing all the contract, getting all the benefit and everything. Anybody investigate him? But because Muhammad now is a threat to him, these people so wicked and evil. You understand? They take away all the people firearm. They left the people stranded off mother thing. There's all these people so wicked, stink and dirty. Yeah.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Kadaki. Good morning to the nation of Guyana. Please. Sir, wickedness rule the world today. And these guys are so confused that they don't know which side they're on. That they want to collate, they don't want to collate. And whatever each individual are doing, they are right. Until the final day when they're gonna see it's wrong. The only thing I am bothered about is some of the black youths. They're gonna be annihilated again. My heart goes out to them. If the PPP get back in, woe beyond to black people. And if they can't understand it, don't worry these bright people. They're bright, but they can't get it right. The only body is speaking positive thing is Dr. David Hines. If they can't see the blackness and encourage the others to think, what is the division is all about? The PPP, what I'm seeing, Venezuela is keeping quiet now because the pathway that the gentleman wants to give to Venezuela, he should have been trying for treason. Guyanese black people should muster up at the US Embassy because they have given Guyanese the information about the PPP and their narrative that are doing a lot of illegal things. Black people should be mustering up day by day. But the PPP have them so covered that even their own black brothers of the police force don't know which side they're on, but they're killing them. My brother, I do hope, I would really love to get out the PPP, but it's a really hard morning thing, brother. Mr. Kadagi, what you're doing is right. Please get these young people to understand that they have to get out the PPP because woe beyond to them. Have a blessed day, my brother. Continue good work.
Thank you for your call. It is a minute past the 9 o'clock. I gotta go. Yes, I have to go. It's a minute past 9 o'clock. Before I go though, let me say this. I can't stand in defense of Mohammed. I will not stand in the way of the law. My position is, if it is believed that a crime was committed, police should investigate. Do what the law empowers them to do. People should be charged. Judges should try. Justice should be delivered. I don't care if it's before election, during election, or after election. I don't care if it's while you were a friend, when you became an enemy, or when you return as a friend. I don't care. My thing is, justice should be served. Justice must be done and must be seen to be done. And this is not me pronouncing on the guilt of Azruddin Mohammed. This is not me pronouncing on the involvement of Azruddin Mohammed. This is me speaking for law and order. Right? The PPP and the police, returning to an investigation. Let me say this before I go there. Around the world, as far as I know, there is no statute of limitation on murder. There's no statute of limitation on murder. So if it's 100 million years after new evidence presents itself to the police in relation to murder, then they are obligated to investigate and bring closure to that case. Reopening an investigation for me has nothing to do with who they say were in the past. And so despite the fact that the whole Guyana police force, you saw the whole top rank of the Guyana police force, even members of government, people from all over the place. Azzuddin Mohammed had the biggest PR team at that time, if you ask me. To tell the world that he was not involved in this incident. He wasn't the mastermind, he wasn't the intellectual author, he wasn't the executioner, he was nothing, he had nothing to do with this issue. All of them were out there singing. And then the morning after, all of these very people are saying, we're reopening this investigation and we're investigating Azzuddin Mohammed Fit. It's an indictment on them. They stand as indicted as Azzuddin Mohammed. So let the games begin. But Guyanese must see it for what it is. And if you really and truly want law and order to take root in this country, then you know the PPP is not a party to have it under. Because you've seen them in all of the manifestations. It's Paper Shards, is Adriana Young, is Quindon Bacchus, is Orange Boston. It's a long list. It's a long list. So whether they indict Azzuddin Mohammed or not, whether they find him guilty or not, it's an indictment on them. And let's return to the past just for a bit before I go. Was it coincidental that cameras that could have picked up people walking into supermarkets and so on to be charged for terrorism, a camera that could pick up people throwing acid on teacher to label them racist, and camera that picking up this and picking up that? How did these cameras not pick up a stone's throw away from the presidential home, State House, who were involved in the murder? How did these cameras not pick up the vehicle that traveled from Main Street all the way to Yarrowcabra or somewhere on the highway? How did it not? Because all of them were coming out to say they're going and investigate Azzuddin now, after they done say that he wasn't involved, were complicit. And Guyanese must indict them for that. When Guyanese go to the polls, they must see Adriana Young. They must see her in Boston. They must see Quindon Bacchus. They must see the youngster in Enmore the other day. They must see the Samuels boy at Miller Street or Camp Street, wherever. And they must make the PPP pay for that by putting them out of office and then demanding that those that they put in office investigate out of them backside and throw them in jail. You all have a good day. Good luck and good weekend to you. Remember MMG, remember Zelle, remember Cash App. I'll put something in the kitty. We're about to hit the road. And you can't hit the road with water in your tank. Goodbye.